Hey, Donna.
Hey, Jerry. I love listening to the song because it is our thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And when I listened to it, and we're continuing our conversation about the football game, Super Bowl. And I was thinking about how you called the game. And I learned so much from Diamond Jerry because it was the first football game I ever watched from beginning to end.
Okay. It's always the first time. And luckily, we beat the spread and won. So
It's
you're a
true.
winner.
It's true. And when you brought together, it was like two families. We talked about like me learning about football, at two families coming together, and one coming going home the winner and one coming home next second. It really reminded me of all the families throughout the course of since August, or actually June was our, I think, our first post that we've been covering on Dear Wise Women. With our experiences, of course, we're family, we're sisters, and we came from a family that split and then had a new family blend. So there's a really powerful message with all the family, but it's interesting about how many people we covered that were then involved in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, and so I'm just going to start with some of the things that struck me because I want to do this in from how we started our journey together. So, working on our Dear Wise Women, our first big story was about Melinda and Bill Gates. And that was a big family because in the early days, you either went with IBM with the Microsoft software, Bill Gates was a young boy, or you went Apple, right? Those are two families. You either were Apple or PC. And our first story was about Melinda and Gates divorcing, having the fastest divorce, a split of a family,
Yep.
which set Dear Wise Women on the map of skyrocketing views overnight.
Yep. It was a great story.
It started what we were doing, and it was two families because
Yes.
then we covered Apple with Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs and the partnership that they had that built a strong family, the enduring Apple today, right?
Yep. Another great story. I have to say, I think all the stories we wrote were really great.
Well, they are. I mean, we have over 12,000 views now as just starting out.
That's crazy.
But what's fun is the people that we covered, who knew, who are these women? What are they talking about? And how did they end up covering so many people that were at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was quite wonderful to be watching, even on the commercials and in the stands, and um, so many of the people we covered were there. And because we covered them, I felt like, wow, there's so and so, and there's so and so. I probably would never have been as attached to all those different people. It
And
was different this time. It was made brought it home.
it's funny because we wrote about Walter Payton in the early days.
Wasn't that was such a beautiful story? Like I don't know. I just read it again, just to really. I know I wrote it, but made me cry. It's like it's really just knowing, like, I don't know. He died too young,
Well,
45.
well,
Wow.
he was known for his athletic grace
Yep.
and never die easy, and his nickname was Sweetness.
Yep. Yep.
But you know what? It when when they came out, when the family came out and said, you know, um, awarding the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, I was like, oh my god, like this is Walter Payton we wrote about.
Yeah.
And then you have this big Andrew Whitworth win this award. And you see this big man come out and what he's been doing in his community, how he's walked the talk. Because you just don't earn the Walter Payton Award, right?
Well,
It's
right. They
you
vote on
you
it. The
you
players seem to vote on it, I think.
yeah, and
They
he's
nominate. They think there's a whole way of doing. They do it.
process.
Yeah.
But then you look, well, our thing, which is we started this is a series about a thing. Our thing is about the cards. And Andrew Whitworth is a 6 of clubs, 8 of diamonds, and a 6 of clubs.
You can't make that stuff up. 6 of clubs, man with a mission. And I mean, double 6 of clubs. And that 8 of diamonds, which makes him like a star power, super shiny person who wants to help people. And what does he do? What's his charity that he does?
Oh, he builds homes. He helps the community. I was just thinking of how this big man with that 8 of diamonds, I always say he walks in with a smile on his face.
I'm not sure. Can you imagine him
The
walking in with a
people that
smile on his
he's
face? That's
spoken
so
to.
big. He's like this big man walking in with a smile. Be like, oh God, what's he smiling about? But no, I'm sure he's a big, gentle giant, I guess.
Well, he's got a heart of gold.
Yeah.
I guess if you have to, it takes that big man to have that kind of smile on his face and that the double clubs of serving a mission. I think he was from, this is where we need a staff to do research for us because we were in football a month ago, and this is our destiny over the direction we're taking.
Except football's now done for the year, so we don't have to worry about it until
I
next
have a
year.
feeling we're going to be applying this to lots of players over time. And it was funny because on the way home, I was listening to something and they were talking about Sandy Koufax.
Oh wow,
That Uncle
that's
Freddie,
family.
that was always a family story. So I'm thinking we have to do more about these people that endure time. Like they're legends for more than just being on the field. So we have
Yes,
to.
well, because if they do it right, I mean, it's quite a gift from God to be that um to make it as far as they do and to be in like
Sure.
the Super Bowl and to get that name. It's important to give back.
Yeah, but going back to the theme of how many people we spoke about through the course of 6 months and the families of, so we talked about Microsoft and Apple, and then we talked about Jennifer Lopez, J
Yeah,
Lo,
there she was.
and you were talking about her. We were talking about her being a trailblazing woman because that was a series. So we did the Royal Quandary, was
Yep,
the summer series where we talked about Prince Harry and William,
yep,
and who was in the stands? Harry and one of I think it was Princess Eugenie or one of.
yeah.
We're planning on doing a story about them, but it was funny that they were
There they
there.
were. Yep.
Then we talked about J Lo,
Hmm.
and at the time I think she was still with Alex Rodriguez with A Rod, and
But we
we
just talked
talked.
about her the other day with on our. Did we talk about her on a Valentine's special?
We did.
Because I checked to see if she still was with Ben Affleck.
Right, but she was at the time with A Rod, another athlete
Hmm.
with I think he's a he's an ace of clubs,
Okay, triple
you know.
X.
But from the athlete of this baseball to now we're into football, obviously. But talking about J Lo and Ben Affleck, and then they're at the Super Bowl, and then we talked about the commercial. The commercials, and I didn't know who did the Zeus commercial. Right? It was kind of funny. I'm like, that voice in the BMW. And I Googled it, and it was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I didn't realize that myself. Although
And we
that
did,
commercial, I'm not sure if it was a hit or a miss because I had to Google to see what the commercial was about.
oh,
It's
yeah,
not a great
well,
commercial when you remember Zeus, but you don't know what they're talking about.
it was, but you see, you go back, and it was about a BMW, the new electric VW, and what they're going to do in retirement, something like that.
Right.
But it's really funny because it was with Selma Hayek. I said I don't even know celebrities as much as I don't know football. But it was funny because we covered Arnold,
Mm-hmm.
the triple jack of hearts.
Yep.
Then I'm looking forward because we did so many stories that kind of led up to who was at the Super Bowl of these two families coming together. And when we were talking about J-Lo and Ben Affleck and A-Rod, we were talking about families together splitting up, then the kids are together, then they have new families. And so it was about how all these kids are a part of the split up in the new families,
Right.
and how, again, it's the same theme of families coming together, going apart, going in different directions. So there was a lot at that Super Bowl.
My favorite was still Larry David.
I mean, that was the
That was
best
the best
commercial.
commercial. It was like, the end line was, "Don't be like Larry." Don't be like Larry. Eh,
So
you're gonna go to the moon. Then no one's gonna go to the moon. Why? It's too far. Toilet. The toilet. Nah, it's never gonna work. Yeah, people have to go outside like human, like people do. The light bulb. I mean, that was hysterical. That was so
and
clever.
it was so clever. And we did Seinfeld a few weeks ago
And we talked about
about,
Larry David. We talked about him in our blog. I wrote about Larry David
and we talked about
because he was the king.
Seinfeld.
Because he was that king of heart. How he wrapped his, he was the coach and the king of diamonds. I think king of diamonds, king of hearts, if I remember. I mean,
I
we
think
just we just did
so.
that, and yeah. But he's got such a sense of humor. He's so funny.
But again, that was about a family because we talked about how they did this family for 9 years. And he showed us how these people in the city that just randomly could become a family.
Yeah, yeah. But then he's doing like that. His Curb Your Enthusiasm,
Oh,
and then
Curb is so funny.
Snoop Dogg did like just dropped an album this week called Crib Ya Enthusiasm, or however you say it, Crib Your Enthusiasm, and there's a whole Seinfeld and in hip hop like connection because there was a group called Whale, Wale, who made an album, a mix album about, and they called it All About Nothing because it was about Seinfeld. So, and then I think the story went that they called Jerry Seinfeld to be part of an album when they were making it, and his wife was like, "Oh my God, I love them!" Like he had never heard of them, and she's like, "They're my favorite." I mean, that I heard that on Ari Melba yesterday, and I was dying, and all I could say is like, it's all about nothing. It's a thing. It's a thing. And I'm just listening to you going, they're about nothing. We're about something. It's a thing. I think my husband's song should be a tremendous hit right now,
I
because
do
it's
too.
nothing but a thing.
And, I really love because at the end it also says, don't lose your cool
Right,
because
right.
it's nothing but a thing. Because when you have all that adrenaline, and how you walk off holding your head high. And they always like shove a mic. What do you think happened in the last 3 seconds of the game that you lost? What are you
Yeah.
supposed to say?
It's funny because just my own segue here. You know how our kids when they're in school, we have our kids. They're in the generation that everyone everyone wins, no one loses. Everyone. Remember like with our nephew. Oh, he won. He said he won. Everyone wins. Like everyone's a winner. Even if you're a loser, you're a winner. And maybe that makes it hard, but maybe it's a good lesson for people to start to learn how to lose with grace because, you know, like it's hard to be a Bengal fan right now and you were so happy to be in the game. And it should be enough to they were at the game. It was great that they were at the game, you know, but you can't win everything and you can't be depressed your whole life if you don't win. You have to be able to lose gracefully because right now that's what our country needs to understand. People need to be able to lose gracefully
No, listen,
and
it's a very,
and be a graceful winner too.
exactly. And it's really interesting because I think it's something that we've witnessed, raising our children. Everyone has to win, but I don't really quite know what the answer is. I recall one of these baseball games where it was like 65 to nothing because the other team couldn't hit the ball. And they were little. And I said to the other coach, don't you think maybe we should let the outfield come infield? So give the other players a chance because this is kind of even hard to watch for me. And he said,
kids, the kids, a kids game.
Yeah, it might have been 6th grade or 7th grade.
Okay.
And the coach turned around to me and goes, you have to play every game like you're going to win. And you never know what's going to happen in that field. I mean, I was speechless. I didn't know what to say.
Well, I mean, he's right
okay.
in a certain extent, but when it's 65, when it's really a blowout,
it was absurd.
That's when you start bringing in the other players to see what they could do.
Because the kids in the outfield, because nobody could hit the ball, they're like in the air. They're like,
and, you have to be a mother or parent on the sidelines of a t-ball game or a softball game to understand that.
But the worst part was,
or soccer, go the other way. You're running the wrong way.
I was ashamed. Like I'm sitting there. If it was hard for me, it was really hard for the other team.
Yeah, because
these parents are like, you can hit the ball. I'm sure you can. And they're like, and I'm standing there, and then they all have to shake hands like good game. Yeah, I don't know where that was at. And one of the mothers out of nowhere walks up to me and says, "Are you happy you won?"
No.
I was like, honestly, no. I said, I'm mortified. If that makes you feel better. And she looked at me because she was so angry. And I all I could say was, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because what we learned that day was not to be gracious. We learned that day, there were more lessons in that day that I still remember.
Yeah, wow. Powerful.
It was because
but the coach didn't know anything and he was still the coach.
Yeah, there's another story about that. But then I remember my son playing 3rd grade football, and the team showed up, and they were so much bigger than these kids, and we had to actually tape their pants to stay on them. And the other team was so big, and they didn't hurt them. And they had a little game, and the other team won, and my son came off, and he goes, "Thank God I didn't get killed. I thought I was going to die when I saw them. They were all so big." He goes, "But they went like this. I knew I wasn't going to die."
That's good.
But funny. I don't know how we do this because, in business, there's teams, right? There's a CEO of 2 companies. You go head to head. Only one wins a contract. Every company has to put together an RFP, and they make you believe each one is going to win.
What's an RFP?
Request for proposal.
Okay.
So in the corporate world, when you're doing a deal, they have to always have two vendors come to the final place.
Sure.
So you have to send in your power team, do all this lead work for this 1-hour presentation.
Okay.
And when I was involved, we won most of them. But one that I lost, you always remember the ones you lost, was because they decided the big men were going to go in, and they brought one woman who her line was to say, like, my name is, you know, and they were presenting to a group, and they come out and they go, we did really well. We definitely got it. And the next week, the CFO woman called me in, and she said, I really want to speak to you in person. And I'm thinking, all right, this doesn't, usually they call you on Friday, dear John, you didn't get it, but we love you, you're second place. But she calls me and she goes, I want to have coffee with you. So that wasn't like a sign that you're coming in and signing the contract. So I went in, we had coffee, and she goes, here's why you're not getting the deal.
Right.
Because
you weren't there.
You sent in these men with this one woman who all she said was my name was blah. And it was people that we would never want to work with.
Wow.
And the other team brought in people that we would want to do work with.
Hey, that's business for you. Who wants to work with someone they don't want to work with?
And she goes, why weren't you there?
What'd you say? Ask them. I agree. Why wasn't I there?
You know, I said, I really appreciate the feedback, because it's important that we learn how to do better next time. And if it doesn't work out with that vendor or whoever it was, you can call us, because we'll always want to do business with you. And you can call me wherever you are.
Right.
And I said, and not only that, you can call me wherever you are, because I'll always do business with you. She goes, that's why I didn't do this on the phone. So nice. It's right. But I have a lot of those stories, because it's who you do business with, and it's you're representing one family versus another. Mm-hmm. Common theme of life. You walk the talk, you do what you say, you try your hardest, and when you lose gracefully.
That's right.
And you take in the feedback.
Right. And try to do better next time.
And it's always about the people you surround yourself with. Mm-hmm. Who is my family? Right. Which is interesting today.
Well, we have a good family. As we get older, our families expand, and you know, we've kept ours together as much as we can.
We do. On our side, I really love my family. Yeah. On our side, you know, we didn't have it easy. And I think when you don't have it easy, you decide to be a family.
Yeah, I mean, look, we learned the best from our mother, who somehow wasn't so great when we were little.
Oh my God.
but we learned, no, we really did learn somehow. And I just think it's part of who we are. How important family is, because, you know, from your husband, his family's not like our family. And I know from my husband, his family's not like our family. And he always tells me he is grateful that he was part of our family, because he was accepted. He might have been teased. He might have been teased about his age, but we finally let him get off.
He looks older than me and you.
We let him grow up. He cut his hair. He looks pretty hot now, right? He's looking really great.
Cute.
But he's looking really hot again. But
he got gray. It's like
you don't see it the same way anymore.
Oh, okay.
The way his hair is he looks really great. But you know, I know he was appreciated, because his family was not, you know,
it's just not the same.
And both of them, they have the common thing of being adopted.
Yes,
and
it's a very big thing.
It is a big thing.
And I think
they both had. I mean, Dave was a little luckier than Peter. Dave knew his birth family. We know them, and we had the blessing of being of being part of that family.
And it is a blessing because we didn't have the blessing.
It was a
We
big
we do
blessing. I
know
loved his
things.
his grandparents was the best.
Yeah, no, we really, what we found out was being part of a study, and that's never good.
Mm.
No, there's things that on paper look good, but you don't walk the talk, right? It looks beautiful on paper till it's called those check the box moments, but
Right.
it's not really the same as a family should be.
No, it's a full. Well,
You
you
know what?
know,
It's in the cards because I really believe what we're doing and how we're helping people understand each other from different points of view and how there's chemistry. You could be born into a family, you just don't get along with anyone in your family because you're all different. So it's really like you remember that one girl we helped, one woman, she was like a three of diamonds and everyone else in the family was clubs. And she's like, I'm just so different from everyone.
right,
Like
right.
they don't get me. And I'm like,
Yeah,
of
duh.
course they don't.
It really is in the cards. I mean, amazing.
So
It's
with
always in the
that said,
cards.
Jerry, I think that we had a great run as our first entree into the Super Bowl,
It's a football.
into football.
Yep. Diamond
And
Jerry and Daffodil Donna. No. I'm only kidding.
we'll we'll try names till they stick. I'm not sure yet. But
Maybe you
when
want
I
to
do,
be Ruby Donna.
I don't know. I said when I know it, just like all of a sudden I heard it's a thing with Dave's song, It's Our Thing, and I was like, that's our song. So when I hear my nickname, I'll know it when it sticks. Peter's nickname is Charlie, by the way.
I don't get that at all. Whatever. It doesn't make any sense.
Charlie Brown. He was always walking around the neighborhood with his ready to play baseball.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I think he did any sport he could anywhere. But I do think we should continue on this look at football players or athletes,
Okay.
leading athletes, and just
Well, I mean, I think that our staying current and talking about people in the news, whether they be from sports or from the entertainment industry or even politics. I mean, it's important. Like we can do people in the news because they're there for a reason. They're. I mean, look, we didn't do many politicians, but we did do Liz Cheney.
we did.
And I might disagree with everything she believes in, except for one. She believes in the truth.
It's
And policies aside, I respect her. So and I'm glad that we did that. But that was
so
the
so
only
am I.
that was the only politician I think we did. Oh, Bill
Well,
Clinton. We did Bill
Arnold,
Clinton,
and we did Arnold
and we did
Schwarzenegger.
Arnold. Right,
He
but
was the
he
governor.
right, but he was like combination, two for one. You get the celebrity and the politician all in one. But yeah, and we talked about the Bidens and the Obamas just the other day. And all their cards are so meaningful in terms of what they do in this world.
Yeah.
I
And we,
mean,
and we even did Seinfeld with his wife Jessica.
I mean, I think before maybe anyone places a vote for anyone, they should check with us to see what the character is of that person. What are they looking to do?
Oh,
You
I
know?
I know that I will, and I know that we have quite a following on the clubhouse 3 nights a week, Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 7 to 9. And people come in and say, "I'm going to date this person." Like the other guy texted me later on last night what his new girlfriend's birthday
Oh,
is.
he did.
I think people will, and we have people that are in some of these hotly contested states like Georgia. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of calls from people on who's this birthday. And I think it could be our new thing on really looking at people from a new dimension, a new point of view, not just like what they've done on paper, but who
Right.
they
And
are.
not because, oh, they're a Libra. Oh, they're a Sagittarius. No, no, no. I'll ask them sometimes only because it helps determine sometimes the card that they are.
Right.
But it's so much more detailed than that.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
astrology is great, but everyone's you got to understand that if you pick up a paper and you read about your month, it's different than going and getting a real reading from your
But
day.
yes, but here's the thing that I was thinking about, and you never know what's going to come out of my
No,
mouth.
I never know.
So I started in publishing because Thomson Reuters was a news company, right?
Hmm.
And people used to buy newspapers all the time, the whatever. And the reasons they bought it, whatever the news stories were, but there was always the horoscope. There were always Dear Ann Landers or Dear Abby.
Yep.
And there was always page 6
Yep.
to read
And we're
about the
and we're all three.
celebrities. And someone said to me, you're kind of smushed it together. That's who Dear Wise Women are.
Yep.
And I said, I love that word smush. It's very technical and describes us perfectly.
You
And
use it
then
a lot. Smush.
he says, who are you? What are you talking about? And why are you changing my life?
And you said, because we can.
Because we can. And we do care.
And we care. Even though we have no hearts, we care.
That's true. We have no hearts. It's a good time to say Jerry's a king of clubs, a 2 of spades, everyone's friend, and that 4 of diamonds.
Yep. And
I am a 4 of diamonds.
Yep.
Hardworking.
Yep. 2 of spades, everyone's friend.
Everyone's friend. And my favorite, 10 of clubs.
Yep. 10 of clubs and the king of clubs go head to head almost once a day on Wordle.
I haven't done mine yet. Can you give me a clue? What was
I
your
didn't do
starting
mine.
word?
I only do mine at night. But I got yesterday's.
That was hard for me because that's not in my DNA.
I sit there and I'm still trying to figure out the words that you and Lisa start with. I'm working on it. I do a deep analysis.
Well, I'll give you one clue.
No, don't give me any clues. I don't want
This is going to make you laugh. The words I start with was someone who on the clubhouse told me his words that he started with.
Oh.
And I'm not going to tell you who he was.
I only use one word. Do you use more than one word to start?
I used 1 or 2 words that he gave me.
Okay.
And he said it depends on his mood.
Oh, God.
Okay. Well, I have a Twitter following now, Donna Bernard. And I started a Twitter following when I was at Thomson Reuters, and I met the journalist for the first time in 2009. And they said, I didn't know what Twitter was. And they said, well, make sure you have your handle. So I was able to get my name, Donna Bernard. And now finally I have something to tweet about when we're on the clubhouse.
Yep.
Or when we release new stories.
Yep. All right. Well, I think it's
So
time to wrap this up.
And with that, I say, I'm Donna Bernard. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, and I say, peace out. Peace out.
And you can also find Jeri Isaacs on YouTube.
Yep. And we will end the way we like to start when we talk about football. I think.
Ain't nothing but a thing. It ain't nothing but a thing.